Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of SEO Resellers KEX Plus webinar series where we talk about all things digital marketing. If you're here for the first time, thank you for joining us. And if you've been following our webinar from the very beginning, thank you for your continued support. Today, we're going vocal for local. But before we dive in, a few reminders for everyone. Let's keep this a conversation. You can throw in any questions anytime and we will take 10 minutes towards the end to accommodate them. The resources, the recording, the slideshow, all the materials that we have here will be shared to you via email. And we'll also upload the recording of this webinar in YouTube, so watch out for that. And another announcement is that we are live on Clubhouse. Clubhouse is an app wherein you can join different clubs of interest. So we are live and broadcasting there right now. So join us there. Burns, you know him. He's our managing partner at TrueLogic, a sister company of SEOreseller.com, and also our former GM way back 2010. Also joining us today is our special games Raymz Mariboho, head of SEO Resellers of Page Team. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for the intro, DC. So I'm not sure if it's welcome Raymz or if it's welcome Burns, right? Because technically it's your brand. I'm just the consultant now.
Well, I mean, we're in this together. So
Right. So I'll say because I want to feel special and not narcissistic at all. It's like welcome Burns. Well, you're welcome, Raymz. You're welcome. Thank you for having me. And today we're going to talk about being vocal for local, right? Or why local SEO might be the missing ingredient. Why local SEO might be the missing ingredient to you driving more success for your clients. So the pillars of SEO, I think, have been pretty consistent throughout the years. Like after, I would say, a decade and a half of doing this, it has always been, and it still is, technical on-page content links, right? Like always, if you want to appear on the first page of Google, it's always those four things. But there is a hidden strategy, and it's localization. And so where does it fit in the mix, in the products that you sell? Because there are certain benefits to local that you don't get from organic, right? So for me, I'll jump in. The first benefit, it is so much faster to appear on a snack pack than it is organically, right? The fight for organic might take you 6 months. Winning in the local pack might take you 1, 2, 3 months.
Right, and the conversion on the local pack is huge.
Right. Because, from everything that we've looked at, it doesn't matter whether it's a knowledge graph, an organic result, a snack pack, a featured result. Mm-hmm. As long as you're at the top, your CTR pretty much still holds.
Position 0.
Right. So that's why I thought it was great. It was a great opportunity to start bringing up the topic of local, because it might be that hidden gem. It might be that strategy that makes all the difference for you and for your clients. So with that out of the way, let's get you motivated. Raymz, let's motivate them.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
So like we were talking about earlier, right? Some of the reasons you might want to include local in your strategy is because you want to win this. You want to win the snack pack, right? Which is an easier win than organic. But there's more to it than that. So Raymz, why don't you walk us through some stats we found while we were preparing for this?
Right. Well, local search is hugely important, right? Because of the way that consumer behavior has changed, especially recently.
Right.
And of course, Google recognizes that and is also making, adaptations to adjust to that kind of behavior.
Yeah.
So that they are there in more steps of the buyer journey, right? And consider some of the stats that we have, like 46%. The number of Google searches that are locally oriented. Okay, so that's actually gone down.
Yeah, it used to be 60, right?
Like
2018 prior.
Right, but you're still talking about 46%
Yeah, roughly half, right?
8.5 billion searches per day on
Which
Google.
is, by the way, also in 5 years, it went from like 3.05 billion searches on Google right to now 8 billion. Amazing.
Yeah, huge. Right, and then you factor in other developments, like for example, the increase in near me searches,
right?
over the last 2 years.
Yeah, like the last 2 years, right? And I think that's pretty relevant data about how that increased.
Right. Also, past 2 years, open now searches have also grown. I think 200%. I think was the number being thrown around.
Right.
So it's almost as if over the past 2 years, something big happened that disrupted consumer behavior.
Yeah.
What would
Johnson?
Maybe
The Queen.
that must be it.
But yeah, I think people's behaviors have changed drastically. One of the biggest changes I saw when we all got locked down and we were at home, I'm not sure people know this, but in 2019, the most popular website was Facebook. Like Facebook got the lion's share of traffic, more than Google, right? So if Google was bragging, oh, I processed 3 billion searches a month, well, yay you. But Facebook still got more traffic than Google. All of a sudden, we're all locked down. And Google is once again the king of internet bandwidth, right? People Googled way more than they used to. People were looking for solutions to problems. They were looking for answers to questions. They were looking for ways to deal with anxiety. They were looking for entertainment, infotainment, right? So there were huge amounts of behavior. Plus, we were all getting stuff delivered, right? And I'm not going to get stuff delivered to me from cross-state or, a city away. I'm going to look for something that is like 15 minutes away, 20 minutes away, something that's a little corporeally merciful to the guy that's got to deliver it to my doorstep.
Yeah, and when you're spending your time at home and you're searching for stuff and you want pizza to be delivered, you're on your phone. And then that means that, and again, with another statistic that we have, it's 93% of the mobile users click on the first set of results on a near me search, which again is usually on the phone, on a snack pack.
And the click-through, I would say the 46%, you got to put a grain of salt on that. Because if you broke that apart between desktop and mobile, that percent is probably larger on mobile than it would be on desktop, right? And the graph you're looking at is the volume of increase of open now searches,
right?
So I think there's another recent update, Raymz. Why don't you tell us about this?
Yeah, just a few weeks ago, last week I think, for a lot of these, Google came out with updates about local search, about the new functions that they're planning to roll out over the next few months.
Right.
And a lot of them make sense.
Right.
So for example, you'll be able to search for restaurants by dish. Like you put in a dish.
I'll actually pipe in here.
Right.
They already actually have this kind of enriched snippet. But it only appears when you do a specific restaurant brand search.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
You have to know what restaurant you're looking for.
And today, without having to put in the restaurant necessarily, by putting in something as generic as a dish, a specialty, a menu.
Yeah, I want shawarma.
And you get the same result as if you had typed in, like you get the same enriched snippet as a restaurant search. Okay.
And then that's huge, right? Because now you can be discovered that way.
Right.
If you have a shawarma dish.
Right.
So it's not your brand that's out there.
Right.
It's the fact that because you have that, dish in your menu, you have a bigger chance now of appearing on searches.
And I think to dumb it down, when we say rich snippet, it's when Google modifies the standard result. So the standard result is a meta title, meta description, right? When we say enriched snippet, it means Google is not giving you a standard meta title and it's not giving you that 2 to 3 liner meta description. It's giving you site links, a photo of a product, a price, a star rating.
Right.
And links to menus, right?
And soon, the link to the menu, the restaurant specialty, and all of that. So a lot of the changes that they've revealed, a lot of the updates that they're going to roll out very soon, are about restaurants who have done a huge amount of business online over the past 2 years because of the disruptions to their operations.
And this is actually what I love about how Google operates, right? They're not rolling out this enhancement to impose it on us.
Oh yeah.
They're rolling out this enhancement because they saw over the past 2 years, going 3 years now actually, over the past 2 years, oh wow, look at how people are behaving.
Yeah. Right.
What if we anticipate what they need, right? And these are actually what trigger these changes, these enhancements, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, definitely based on behavior. I myself have ordered a lot of pizza over the past 2 years, as you can see. Okay. So in addition to that, though, it's not just about restaurants, but they're also doing a lot of stuff with Google Maps. So some of the updates include the ability to find things in your immediate vicinity through live view. Being able to see aerial photos of landmarks, so this is for tourists, people can travel again. Or if you want to plan to travel, you can do a virtual visit.
Yep.
Okay. An immersive view inside buildings. Now, this was huge when this came out. I immediately started doing research on it because I thought it was so interesting. Where you have your street view, which shows you the outside of the building, but with certain partners. So they're starting out, I think, with a batch of 10,000 partners, and they're starting with public places like airports, stadiums, museums, that kind of thing.
Makes sense.
You will be able to see the floor plan and to do a virtual tour of the building.
Right.
But of course, they plan to roll this out and build up their number of partners. So, and they are specifically also open to businesses where you as a business can give a virtual tour of your premises.
Right.
So if you're a business that depends a lot on foot traffic.
Oh wow, they're actually gonna put some people out of business because right now that is a service. Like you can hire you can hire a company to do a 360 virtual tour of your business, right?
Yeah.
And they put that on your website.
Yeah, but
interesting.
Google being Google.
So one of the items that you researched, Raymz, that sort of caught my attention was a neighborhood vibe check. Right?
Yeah, they're really leaning heavy into the Gen Z thing.
Yeah. Being a Gen Xer myself, right? Like I don't get what that is, but that sort of caught my eye, like a neighborhood vibe check.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it sounds cooler when you say vibe check.
Right.
So that's probably why they said it.
And let's face it, right? It'll probably take 10 of me to match 2 of them in terms of amount spent online.
Oh yeah.
And so Google knows its audience.
Yeah. So this is what they know that the Gen Z is going to be their next biggest segment.
True. Yeah.
They're going to age into the market, and then they will be the dominant market.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
Right? Like in the same way people were talking about millennials 5 and 10 years ago. They're the ones that are going into the labor market. They were going to be the future taxpayers.
Right. So that's the vibe check basically. So you go on a Google map, and then again, the details are not very, there are not a lot of details yet, aside from the fact that it will involve a combination of AI and local user knowledge. And based on this, depending on your location, when you go on Google Maps, you get served recommended places based on the favorite places to visit of the people in the area, of what the favorite of the locals, that kind of thing.
Right.
Lets you know what's going on.
Right.
And the intent really is to get you to explore the neighborhood.
Right. Be immersed in the experience of a neighborhood.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. Like, especially if you're traveling, I think that comes in really handy, right? And so we talked about some benefits to you guys getting this, and we'll talk about more benefits to localization. But let's talk about localization and what is localization. So I want to walk you through what the ideal scenario is. If somebody hired me as an SEO to get their website to rank on the Snack Pack, these are the things that I would do, right? First is, of course, website. Like, you got to have a website. In reality, you don't need a website to appear on the Snack Pack. You probably see those results where it says get directions, right? Or call, but the website icon does not appear. But, again, we're talking about the ideal scenario, like being able to maximize the opportunities for you to appear there. So for me, your website is the nucleus of all of your marketing activity. And then you've got local schema implementation. Schema is just an HTML markup, or it could also be JavaScript. It could also be a JavaScript, but it's just a micro format, a markup that allows Google to comprehend that a piece of your content on your page is an address. Without schema, the content is content, right? And so Google will weigh the value of your address the same way it values all of the content on the page, which is to say, all important content at the top and the less important content at the bottom. But most establishments put their content on the footer. So I'll give you guys an illustration of this just to make it more clear, right? Now, if you were, so take for example, as your reseller, TrueLogic, we don't have to be present in 50 states. I don't have to be present in multiple regions, right? I'm only present like in the Philippines. I only need one address, right, on my footer. And so I implement local schema via JavaScript because it appears site-wide. I implement local schema on my address, and Google instantly comprehends where the office is. It knows where I am, right? And that's why you implement schema. Now, but what if you're a bank? What if you're a franchise? What if you're a restaurant? What if you're a quick service restaurant? Right? Like, what if you are all of these places that have multiple locations? Then, aside from the implementation of local schema on your address, you probably want to put up branch pages. And I used to tell people, give me a list of branches if you've got more than 12. If you've got less than 12, give me a page per branch, right? So because you also want to work in terms of scalability. And it's not really such a big deal whether, it shares multiple other locations. Google knows that those are locations on that page. So it's not such a big deal. But if I were going to give the user more information, and I only have 12 branches anyway, I would create a branch page per. It's just, and then it doesn't make sense if I've got more than a dozen branches. I would just create pages either by region, and then I've got 3 branches there, or by cities, and I've got 2 branches in each. That kind of jazz. But I would put up branch pages and make sure that every branch had a micro format implementation in it. Claim your Google My Business listing.
Hugely important.
Yeah, and Google now calls them the Google Business Profile. Claim them, optimize them. I'll talk to you about what optimizing that means, and then monitor your reviews. Now, the secret sauce that I do is I will actually point backlinks to a Google Business Profile. When I guest blog outreach, if the most sensible resource I can put on that content is the business profile of a client, then I will not point it to the website. I will point it to the Google Business Profile, right? Like if the content, if the resource sounds like it's satisfying and I want the go moment, then I would point the link to the business profile instead of the website, right?
Could you go into a little more detail about that? Like when you talk about I want to go moments, so how would someone strategize for that specifically?
Right.
Like, do you have an example?
So take for example, if you are a Miami tailor, right?
Okay.
Like, and your brand name is not Miami Tailor, but in the backlink that you're getting, in the backlink that we are attempting to acquire for a client, the anchor text you want to put is Miami Tailor. Clearly, not all of your anchor texts are like Miami Tailor, Miami Tailor, Miami Tailor, right? But it's easy. It is easy to insert the word Miami Tailor organically into text, right? Like not Tailor Miami, right? That's like playing cards Las Vegas. That's,
it doesn't make sense.
It's organically difficult to squeeze that in. But when you say world famous tailors of Miami, right? Like that would make sense. I would take that anchor text, and because it's locationally motivated, like if somebody happened to be in Miami and they wanted, oh, you know what? I want to try those guys. I want to visit those guys. Or a great example. Pike Fish Place, right? Like it's the fishmongers in Pike Place in Washington State, right? So Pike Place in Washington State, people might not remember that it's necessarily called Pike Place, right? And the name of the place is Pike Place. The place is not Pike, right? But like Pike Place is well known. But some people might forget what that is, and all they remember is, oh, those fishmongers in Washington, right? Oh, that coffee market in Washington. This might be all they remember, right? And so then it makes sense to put in coffee sellers, Washington State, right? Washington State coffee sellers, Washington State market, world famous Washington State market, because they are a tourist destination, because it is a show to watch these guys. And then it would make sense that I would point it to the business page, because the motivation that the user might have then is, oh, you know what? I do want to see that.
Yeah. Where are they?
I do want to see Pike Place. Right. How do I drive there? Is there public transportation going there? Because it's harder to explain that on a blog. It's harder to explain that on a branch page. And yet on Google Maps, Google will tell you if you walk it, it'll take this long. If you take a train to it, it'll take this long. If you drive to it, it'll take this long. So that's what I mean when I say backlinks. Now, let me dive into a bit more detail, right? When I say your website and schema, this is what I mean. The reason you implement this kind of code, the one behind Raymz, The reason you implement this kind of code is so that Google can subsequently enrich the snippet, so that Google can do this, right? Do you guys see that? Where the star rating is there, it says rating 7 out of 10. It tells you when the most recent rating was. So the reason you code it this way is so that you get that enriched snippet. And that's why you put in schema. Now, let's talk about the other thing I talked about, like a claimed Google business profile. Why do this? Because it doesn't hurt and it can help. And it's another link source, right? It's a leased asset. It's a link source. But what do we mean when you say, just because you have a Google business profile does not mean it's an optimized business profile, right?
Definitely.
And just because you've claimed it does not mean it's an optimized business profile. Because remember, Google proactively lists businesses that it discovers because it thinks it's terrific for users. And they're probably right. So, but in order for a listing to be truly optimized, aside from the fact that you claimed it, the name, the address, the phone number have to be consistent with how you express your name, address, phone number on your website. That's the first thing. The next thing is your primary business category, right? Like what category do you fall in? And sometimes this is hard. Like take, for example, for us, we're digital marketing. We actually don't fall in any of those categories specifically, right? So sometimes the option is internet service. Sometimes the option is marketing.
Right.
Sometimes the option is ad agency, which we aren't specifically.
Business consultancy.
Right. Which we do, but that's not 100% of the picture.
Exactly.
So sometimes the primary business category is tough, but that's us. Not all of you guys will be marketing agencies or digital marketing agencies. Find the nearest match to your primary business category. And then when you eventually create other listings, make sure you be as faithful to that primary business category that you selected on your Google business profile. Add your business hours, because businesses that care about their users give them as much information as they can. Put in your service areas, because by default, your service area is about 5 miles from where you are. By default, your service area is your location, 5 miles around that. If you service an area that's larger than that, like let's say you're a translation company and you get documents from multiple locations, then add the service areas, right? Just so that you're not spamming, oh, but I want to be in that city, so I'll build a page. And I want to be in that city, so I'll build a page. And I want to be in that city, just add it to your service areas.
Right. And this is where all the open now and near me searches factor in.
Right.
That's why you want to optimize.
Right. And then, of course, the website URL, it's a Google business profile. It's a link. Get it, right? Like, why would you spare yourself that? Your business description, and then here's the other bit. Although we can go into like reputation management, which is like another KEX conversation. But customer reviews, I can't even stress how important that is. And we will throw some stats at you in terms of why that's important. So if you optimize it, here is a sample of what it'll look like. Like you're seeing it here, where your optimized Google business profile features the photos of your establishment, the map location of your establishment, the external. So these are photos here, are actually stuff you post yourself. These photos are stuff that people post of your location. They're not necessarily your photos. Google just knows they're contextually related to you. A map location in case people want to go. Look at that, right? Service options, location. It says we're closed, but we're not, because I'm here. So it says we're closed. It should really say closed. For appointments, right? Go to truelogic.com.ph, phone number, Q&A. But take a look at the other stuff we do. It is an opportunity for social signals. Like your Google business profile allows you to post. It can be a place where you put your syndications. By the way, I get several hundred visits from these posts, by the way. So whenever I do a podcast, I make sure to publish it on the post inside my business profile. Yes, I share it on Facebook and I advertise it. Yes, I'll share it on LinkedIn and I'll put an advertising budget behind it.
Right. So it's great for content marketing.
Yeah,
it's another distribution channel.
Exactly. Your customers are not monoliths, right? And rule number 1 of marketing is your message has to be present where your audience is, right? So use it as an opportunity to engage. If you've already got it anyway, right? Like if you've already created a blog post, then you know what? Create a quick snippet.
Yeah, it's
Put
not
it on
that
your
hard.
Google business. No, it so is not, right? Now, earlier I talked about backlinks, and this is really just me hammering this home, right? It's not a common practice, by the way. Like, I'll be clear, this is not common practice, but a backlink is always a trust signal. It's always a vouch. It's a vote of confidence, right? It's a vote that you're not a fly-by-night company and whatnot. And to me, the rule is, if the content I am inserted in, if the content I am guest blogging in attempts to satisfy an I want to go moment, then it makes sense that my backlink points to my business profile. And so for me, whenever I can do this, I do. Our agency actually appears on local results all the time. Like if anybody does anything that is 5 miles of the city where we're located, right, we always appear on the snack pack. That didn't happen by accident. Yeah, right. And this is part of the secret sauce. So
you've done all these things.
Yeah. I talked for like what? A tirade of like 15 minutes, like close, right?
Right.
And so I think what I want you guys to now understand is, why go through all the fuss and bother of doing everything that I just talked about, right? And I mean, Raymz, let's talk to them about what's in it for them. And I'll let you start. I'll let you start that conversation, right? So what? So what? So local. So what?
Right. And this is going back to what we mentioned earlier about how customer behavior is becoming more and more local.
Right.
Right. So our clients or your clients, they can potentially get a huge benefit from local search because of the way that more and more people are discovering, researching, and transacting online with local businesses. Like 92% of store visits are driven by local smartphone searches found on the snack pack results.
Right. And that's crazy, right? So let's put that into context. For every 10 visitors that walk into your establishment, 9 of them had Googled you before they walked in. Right? Like that's crazy, right? So imagine what your Google unassisted foot traffic would look like. 9 out of 10 of the people that will walk into your establishment, that will have discovered your establishment, discovered you on Google. They began their commercial experience with a search motivation on Google, right? That's nuts. Continue, Raymz.
Right. And of those people who do find you on a local search, right? 52% of those will set foot in your store within the day.
Right. So I super agree. Super agree.
Yeah, and then that number goes up even more. 24 hours, it becomes 88. It's
I got a funny story of this 52%. Okay. Right? I've got a funny story of this 52%. So I lecture a lot. And I lecture in person. And because I lecture a lot, all of my cars have leather shoes. Because I like to be in sandals. I like to be in sandals. Even when I drive, I'm in sandals. So there's always a sandal to change it. But I always have shoes in the car, right? And then one day, I'm going to a lecture, and somebody decided it was time to clean the shoe in my car. Like somebody took the shoe out of my car. And so I'm going to go into a lecture in sandals. Absolutely not. So I had a good hour. I was like 5-10 minutes from the venue, but I had a good hour away. I had a good hour away from the time I needed to start talking. So the first thing I did was I looked for the nearest mall that had a shoe store.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's a classic I want to go moment.
Yeah. It's like an emergency.
I
gotta go moment. Right? And that's part of these 52 people that will suddenly hit you up on the day. You make it an exceptional experience, they'll be back.
Right. And they just have to be able to find you.
Yeah. And there's more to it than that, right? It isn't just about the half of the people that will visit you the same day they perform the motivated search. What happens the next day? Right?
Within the 24-hour window earlier, and that goes up to 88%.
Yeah. And again, taken into context, that's almost 9 out of 10. Right? Like, so I've got a funny story about that too, right? I'm a pajama kind of guy, and I couldn't find any pajamas in any brands, in any stores that I like. Okay. So I bought fabric, And I was gonna have I bought textile and I was gonna have my own pajamas made.
Wow, custom pajamas.
Yeah, but here they're cheap. I'll
Okay,
probably
okay.
I'll probably wind up saving money.
Okay, I'll try that.
So I started, but I could never perform the search while I'm in the office. It's just because all of the time you're here, there's always something going on, right? So I
course,
only remember to do the search. You know what? I needed a tailor, right? I bought all that textile for what? Nothing, right? So I need a tailor, and I performed the search in the evening. Clearly, nobody's going to be open, and so I go the next day, right? I do the Google search at around 8 p.m. and I go to the establishment at around 10 a.m. the next day, right? Like about 2 hours after they open. So that's an example of these 9 out of 10 people 5 out of 10 may visit you the same day, but almost 9 out of 10 will visit you in a span of 24 hours. That's incredible.
Right. And of those who do visit,
Yeah.
so almost 1 in 5 will actually buy.
Right.
And that's huge because that's really what you're after,
Yeah,
the
and
conversion.
that's a great conversion rate, right? 18% is a great conversion rate,
incredible.
especially for foot traffic. And then of course earlier I talked quickly about reviews. And there are a couple of stats to share when it comes to reviews, right? Like how 86% of customers read reviews. I'm part of the 86%, right? But you got another stat there that's not for me. What is it?
Okay, for millennials, of which I am barely a member, it's 91% trust user reviews.
Right.
It's a huge part of the research process for
Yeah.
millennials of the buyer's journey
Right.
for millennials.
And the thing I like to joke is the thing I like to joke about this is guys like me, we go online. These guys, they live there. These guys don't go online.
Right.
They're online all the time. They live there.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it's amazing how, like, whenever I see millennial stats, Gen Z stats, I am always amazed at how differently they behave and how native they are to this platform. So now that we've talked about the fuss and bother of doing it, but the benefits your clients could get, your clients' clients could get by executing all of these activities. Now you're sort of have to figure out, okay, so do you want to do it for them or do you want it done for them? Right? And I think, Raymz, so this is for me, this is whenever we've got a great solution, I will always shamelessly plug it, right?
Yeah.
Because if we believe in the stuff that we do, and it works and it creates value, I'm not going to be coy about it. So this is shameless plug portion,
My favorite
and I'll leave
kind.
it to Raymz, right? Because you're leading this. So
Yes.
tell us about local optimization.
Okay, so local optimization, a big part of local optimization is building your citation. Okay, so building a citation is, again, it's another way of link building,
Right.
of creating
Agreed.
backlinks to your site. And you do this by creating listings in directory sites.
Right.
And there's so many out there, right? Now, what we were looking at is how is citation building done today when there
Right.
are providers out there who are selling the service, same as us. What are they doing? What is their model? And mostly those models fall into two categories. One is a subscription model where you sign up for the service, you pay every month, they
Right.
build you citations every month, you get additional
It's
backlinks every month.
PPC, paper citation.
Yeah, basically. And just
Okay.
like PPC,
Right.
the moment you turn
You
on
run
the
out
tap,
of budget. Right.
when you stop paying for the subscription, you could also lose a significant amount.
Right. You
of
don't lose
those
them all,
citations.
but you lose a significant amount of
Right, especially if you've been subscribed for a while.
Right.
You're looking at
Right.
a large number
Right.
of citations.
I mean, you gotta admit, it's a great business model, right? Because people
It
will
works.
keep it up just for loss aversion or for sunk cost, right?
Right, exactly.
Because people will think, oh, but I've already invested 2 years into it and I've got like 300 and a caboodle citations. I don't want to lose that. And so people will keep it up just to be able to keep that up. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the other model that people
The
do?
other one is bulk. So
Okay.
so you go to the provider and they promise you something like, oh, we'll build 200 citations for you. That's 200.
This
backlinks.
I've seen.
That's
right?
great. So it sounds great because they'll charge you. You divide that by 200. Okay, you know what? That seems pretty good.
Right.
The problem with that though is that do you actually need 200?
Right.
Which may vary from business to business,
Right.
niche to niche.
I was gonna say, it sounds like a good idea
Mm.
until the next competent SEO looks at your backlink portfolio and says, "Oh, you got so many of this,
Yeah,
right? Like,
like-
why do you
yeah.
need so many of this? Can I disavow some of these?"
Right.
And now you're wondering, like, okay, so why did I even spend money to build those? So
Right. Because
So-
you paid for 200.
right,
So they're going to give you 200.
right. And I think you're right. In terms of citations, I wouldn't say less is more,
Mhm.
right? But not all citations are made equal.
Right. Exactly.
So if some people make you pay per citation and some people just dump 200 citations on you,
Right.
what's a better solution?
Okay. So for me to explain that, let me go into the process first so that the benefit can be made.
Go
clear.
for it.
Right. So month one, so we do a citation
Mhm.
research. So we do citation setups.
Right.
Um,
Sort of like competitive research for
Yeah.
us on SEO, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So first, we have a team of specialists, and they're going to look for existing citations because you may have citations out there similar to a Google Business Profile.
Right.
It's been made but not claimed by
Mhm.
you. And because these have been scraped by these directories, some of the information there might not be accurate or
Right.
consistent. They may not.
Right.
You may have changed your info, but they didn't update theirs, that
Right.
kind of thing. So these specialists will scour the internet for mentions of your brand on these directories.
Right.
And
Where
check
you are
whether or
mentioned
not-
inconsistently. And
Exactly.
And
They'll
then if
check for
there's
that.
any value to correcting it.
Yes.
Okay.
And so we check for consistency, whether or not the information there is consistent and accurate with the stuff that you have with your GBP, with your website, that kind of thing. And that's for existing citations. Now, we also will do a competitive analysis. So we will look at your competitors based on your niche, based on competitors.
Yeah, sounds a lot like SEO.
Yeah, right. So
yeah.
we really patterned the strategy after
Right,
how we do
right.
SEO because SEO reseller.
Right.
That's
and,
what we do.
And SEO works. SEO works.
Right. And SEO works. So we took that approach and looked at what are your competitors doing?
Right.
Where do they have their citations?
Right.
And based on that, we tell you, okay, let's say you have 5-6 competitors that we've analyzed, and of all of their citations, you have X% of them.
Right.
Right. So in this case, like for example, we found 60% of the competitor citations, you have them. But what happens to that 40%?
Right.
So that 40% is an opportunity
Right.
for you to expand your profile.
Right. Which means we only build the missing stuff, or at
Right.
least we only build the value-adding stuff.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. But is it a fixed number of citations? Like, is it a packet of 20 citations, 40
No.
citations?
Okay. So again, so because we're doing all of this setup, because we're doing the research, because we're looking at your competitors, there is no fixed number of citations that we are going to charge you for,
Right.
to force you into, rather.
Right.
Right. We're not going to off the bat say, okay, 200 and then done.
Right.
So we'll tell you, we found about 40, 50,
Right.
73
And
good
these are what you guys
citations for
refer to as your citation opportunities.
And these
like
are
the
your
one we're flashing
opportunities.
here. Right.
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 And
Okay.
then you choose whether or not you build all of them all at
Uh-huh.
once. You can choose to build them next month. You can
Right.
choose to spread them out over 3 months. You're not locked in. No one's holding a gun to your head.
Mhm.
You can make it work based on your marketing budget,
Right.
right?
And then after they go through all of this,
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that we wanted to insert in the process was being able to audit the presence of their citations,
Right.
or the health of their citations.
Mhm.
So I know in SEO why we do this, right? Because there might be more opportunities,
Right.
or we might have just done a superlative job and all your keywords are on the first page, and
Yeah.
which means, I want to move on to other keywords. Why do I have to keep burning resources on ones that are already performing? But why do a semi-annual audit? Why do a 6-month audit against citations?
Right. Because again, shifting landscape.
Right.
So there might be other opportunities out there.
Mhm.
There may be some that we've missed in the first pass that maybe
Right.
your competitors found, because we'll also do another competitor research.
Right.
So it's really just optimizing, looking for additional opportunities, growing that profile, and again, giving you a recommendation of only the most relevant
Right.
and valuable.
Right.
And then we build those
Yeah.
for you.
And I think it'll be hard to help you guys understand all of the context of the stuff we're saying, right? So we're trying to make sure or actually to make sure that you can go back and you don't have to rewatch the recording of this webinar, we put in a bit.ly link here for you guys. Like, you guys should be able to see it on your screen, but we put in a bit.ly link here for you, so that in case you want to download resources about the SEO reseller citation service,
Right.
you can do so. If you've got questions, call our 1-800 number, talk to our salespeople, call your account manager and ask them for more information.
Yes.
Okay, so you can either self-serve with the bit.ly link, or you can talk to us, and we'll be more than happy to explain it. Okay, and so I think you even got like a preview, right, of the reputation management. So one of the things I said earlier was reviews matter. Reviews matter.
Yeah. Very big deal.
As far as social signals are concerned, reviews are the ones that matter the most. And Google can see your reviews. Like, I'm not sure if it was visible earlier when I showed you TrueLogic's knowledge graph, but it's got a rating of 4.5 out of 5. And then Google says from Facebook. It's not even the Google My Business reviews.
Yeah,
Because under that, it says 28 reviews more, which is then the aggregate reviews from Google from the Google Business profile. But it's telling us 4.5 out of 5 on Facebook. So Google can see your reviews. It is so important. Now, in order, and we knew it was important way back when. So, even back in the day when I was still running the show at SEO Reseller, we built a tool called the Reputation Manager. I strongly encourage you guys, if you are already agency partners, to log into your dashboard and look for it, or you can go to the bit.ly link on the screen to refresh yourselves on what this tool is. But it's essentially a tool that allows your clients to enroll their establishment into it. And what it does is, A, it monitors all reviews and then it alerts them whenever they receive one. B, it's a tool that they can use to solicit reviews for people that walk into their establishment. They just have to log into their Gmail in a tablet and then do the review before they step out. Like if it's a dentist,
Make it
if they're
convenient.
if it's
Just
an
make it
auto
convenient.
dealer, right? Like the best time to get feedback is, like, in sales we have a saying, the best time to upsell is at the point of sale, right? The best time to get a review is at the point of sale. So make it easy for your audience, for your users, for your customers to give you guys reviews. The other thing is, because it alerts you to reviews, it allows you to respond to reviews. I'm not gonna get into it because reputation management is an entirely different webinar. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I did a webinar on this maybe 5 years ago.
Time for a new one.
Yeah, if you want to understand what the reputation management tool is, we put a bit.ly link in the doodly-doo down here. So, or in the doodly-doo over there, right? Feel free to follow it and take a look at the reputation management tool. It might be the solution your clients are looking for. So, to wrap up the conversation, because we do want to get to your questions, right? Don't forget, the most important motivators for you guys to include local in the strategy you guys employ for your clients is because 92% of store visits are driven by mobile searches that are locally oriented. Half of these people that will have performed the search will visit you the same day. And by the same day, I mean the day before you close, right? The ones that don't make it will visit you the next day before 24 hours are even up. Almost 9 out of 10. That's a lot of people. 1 in 5 of those guys are going to make a purchase. And who couldn't use more sales? Reviews are important. Reviews are important. Listen to your customers. Encourage your clients, the businesses you serve, to listen and respond to their reviews. We respond to all of our reviews, like 100%. Somebody's always listening. Why? Because Gen X, Millennial, Gen Z, we read reviews. And Millennials, Gen Z, minus one generation, really super trust reviews, right? Because these guys live online. These are the primary motivators and the arguments you should pitch to your clients when you pitch them local as part of the strategy that you're going to employ for their campaigns, right? So just pro tips. By the way, Raymz, this was your sample. I love it. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but we're flashing it on the screen, right? the location's name, or sorry, the establishment's name is
Right.
literally
It's near me.
dentist near me. It's
SEO.
fantastic. It's fantastic.
Like
Like,
apparently, this is a dentist, I think, in Plano, Texas. I believe.
right.
And so it made the rounds in the SEO community, so that people were kind of arguing. So is this actually a good idea? Would this work?
Yeah, I am of the mind that it can work. Like
Mhm.
the days of exact match domain, exact match names are over.
Right.
It does still have some bearing, but it doesn't work that much anymore. But you gotta admit, the cheekiness is what got it on the rounds.
Okay,
right?
okay.
Like wow. If I was an SEO, right, and I lived in that area, or let's say I'm touring that area and I
Right.
need something, I'm gonna go to somebody fun. I'm gonna go to like a dentist with a sense of humor is great.
Or maybe they specialize in SEO.
Right.
patients.
You never know, right? So a couple of pro tips: your website, make sure your address is there and it's got the right markup. Optimize your Google Business profile. Build out other listings with consistent name, address, phone numbers, and descriptors.
Right.
Listen to your reviews and respond to your reviews.
Very, very important.
Yeah, we haven't said it enough, but that's why we sort of save the best for last. Respond. There is an ancient number in customer service that we like to preach. It is that 68 to 71% of your detractors can be turned into supporters again if you respond. So
Right.
this is like super important. I can't even stress it enough. Right?